Hi, everyone. My name is Vivien Sharon, and I'm a real estate broker in Toronto with Sotheby's International Realty Canada. I'm really excited to welcome everybody here this afternoon on my show, Coffee with Vivien. And today we're going to talk about a topic that everyone is very excited about, of course, because Valentine's Day is coming in a couple of days, and I have my rose. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And so the topic today has to do with Valentine's Day and thoughts of love and engagement and starting a life together, getting married, our dreams and our hopes and our plans for our future when we fall in love. So today I have three very special guests, and I would like to introduce each one to you separately. The first one is Ava Sachs. Ava is the founder of Divorce Financial Consulting and is recognized expert and trusted resource in separation and divorce and financial planning. And over the last 12 years, Ava has worked exclusively with clients facing divorce, whether they are in traditional negotiations, mediation, or collaborative divorce, helping them understand the financial implications of their decisions. Ava is a certified financial planner, certified divorce financial analyst, chartered financial divorce specialist, and she is the co-author of a very important book, When Harry Left Sally, Finding Your Way Through Gray Divorce. Hi, Ava, welcome.
Hi, Vivien, nice to be here.
Great to see you.
Likewise.
And I'm going to introduce now my second guest, Eleanor Scheinhoft. She has practiced law for almost 20 years, specializing in family law and estates. Her passion has always been to work with people and to help them move forward through difficult and challenging life decisions and situations. After many years of litigating, Eleanor understands the limitations of going to court. She represents clients in various matrimonial disputes, negotiating domestic agreements, property division, financial support, custody, and parenting arrangements. Hi, Eleanor, welcome. Eleanor.
Oh, hi, Vivien. It's actually Anna Marie, so a bit of a technical glitch there, but similarly, I also practice in collaborative family law, much like Eleanor. And my background is in, I was a litigation lawyer for a number of years before I transitioned my practice to helping families divorce, separate, and work with marriage contracts in a collaborative format. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So we have Eleanor here, who I just spoke about. If you'd like to summarize your area, because we sort of got shifted with slides.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Actually, Anna Marie and I do very similar things when it comes to the family law. We both practice collaboratively and try to stay out of the court. Oops, I think I'm now listed under as I do specialize in family law, but I also have a bit of a different practice because I do a good deal of estates. So I can actually work with clients, whether they're separating or not, in also just updating and preparing wills and doing their planning for, situations when death arises.
Terrific.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. This is great. So why don't we all take a cup of coffee here, and we're going to have a combined conversation. And I hope everybody's correct name is appearing, which it is right now. And so we'll grab a cup of coffee and we'll start. So I have a number of questions that I'd like to throw open to the floor here. We're going to start with the first question. What are the conversations a couple might have before signing on the dotted line, before they say, I do?
Vivien, well, whether the dotted line is a marriage license or marriage license or an offer to purchase a house, they should have conversations about the money issues, their attitudes around money, what their goals are, admitting to what their assets are, what their debts are. Are they a spender? Are they a saver? I think it's very important that they have that, for some people, tough conversation, but a really important one.
Absolutely. And anybody else to comment about the importance? I know that both our lawyers here don't deal with the financial aspect that much, but do you want to comment here about signing on the dotted line and the importance of the financial consideration?
Well, I'll jump in on that one. One of the biggest fears I think that clients have is, how can you have this conversation without it having an effect on their relationship? It's not a very romantic thing to talk about marriage contracts or signing contracts with your partner. But I think if we look at the what if scenarios, I think that's really important, because I think if you have these honest and hard conversations, it'll allow you to alleviate some stresses and really focus on enjoying the rest of your relationship and life together. So, some are very uncomfortable questions, like, what if my spouse dies? How do I move forward financially? These are all things that enter into all of the discussions that we have legally.
Correct. Absolutely. So the attitudes of money and money goals and financial status are important. And what about the question about purchasing a home? I think that if a couple, decide to get together and purchase a home before they get married, is there some kind of special wording that you would suggest happen in your contracts that you would safeguard them or counsel them?
Well, I can jump in on this one, but first of all, I think what's most important is that a lot of people don't understand what the implications are when you do actually purchase a home with someone else, whether you're married or just cohabitating. The first thing you want to do is avoid all the surprises. Like I said, people are very surprised at the end of the day when they don't necessarily understand what their rights and their obligations are, again, whether you're married or cohabitating. And if for whatever reason the relationship ends, unfortunately, people get really angry and stressed out, and they go through a lot of unnecessary stress because they really haven't had those conversations ahead of time. And so from our perspective, put together an agreement, a lot of people, it's a very unromantic thing to do, and we're talking about Valentine's Day. But from my perspective, I disagree with that. I think it's actually a really kind and loving thing to do, to sit down with your partner, the person you want to spend your life with, and talk about your financial goals, and talk about your finances, and talk about these what ifs. And so that's really where we call it the modern marriage contract, or the modern cohabitation agreement, comes into play.
Right. So I think that is very true. And I guess one should consider having this business conversation. The question is, prior to getting married, so how do you handle the business side? Because we do know that it's emotional and you're planning to get married or cohabitate. And then you sit down with your loved one and it's Valentine's Day and you're engaged. And then when is the right time to sort of sit down and say, what about the business aspect of this? So what happens if? How does that happen, and how do you deal with that?
I'll just add in very quickly, the sooner the better, I think, because as Anna Marie said, you don't want any surprises. If you're getting married, you're going to be looking at all the planning part of the wedding and the big day and getting excited about that. And so you may leave the finance discussion or the money discussion to the end, and that in turn may mean it never happens until very close to, let's say, the wedding date, or as you're signing the documents for buying a house. And that's where the stress levels, and that's where some degree of distrust, duress may come into play. So the sooner the better. I think as soon as a couple gets together and starts thinking that they're somewhat serious, it's a great time to have that conversation.
Have you ever seen, or any of you seen, that this conversation happens prior to, and hopefully it does because it is important, and a relationship falls apart because maybe they're talking about having kids and one doesn't want to have kids, and maybe one talks about let's move downtown and the other one wants to say no, let's move in the suburbs, and all these and then about the money aspect with purchasing or renting. Have you seen this happen, that maybe these conversations haven't, they've happened, but then they've collapsed a relationship because it's not it's not an idealistic world, it's a real world? Anything happen like that in your practices? Any of the three of you?
For me personally, I've not really seen it come to that degree. Usually by the time the couple calls us, they've usually ironed out some of those wrinkles. But certainly I've had experiences where clients have maybe raised some issues that the other hadn't really thought through. So it takes a little bit longer than expected, and the couple kind of has to go back and regroup and figure out what it is they exactly want. But I haven't had the circumstance where it's completely dissolved or the couple is broken up because of these conversations.
Yeah, I have to say, I think the closest that we came to problems is where there was one couple and it took them a really long time to negotiate the agreement, and they actually got separated a year after. The good news, though, is they actually just fully relied on the marriage contract. We turned it into a separation agreement, and at least it made things a lot smoother and quicker. But unfortunately, when you do see things like this, it's more just an observation. Sometimes it could be that it would have inevitably happened in any event. So if you catch it earlier, or at least if you can iron out the details, if you have differences of opinion or views on significant matters in your marriage, it may be even more important to have something like a marriage contract, so that you plan it while you're both level-headed. It's a compromise, but again, there won't be any surprises down the road if you do separate.
So I'd like to throw this question at you. Modern marriage contract. I don't think a lot of people today are that familiar with it, certainly of a certain generation. I'm not sure if it's generational. Is it young people? Is it all ages? So I'd like to know the age factor of your clients, and what does it entail, a modern marriage contract? I'm going to throw it out to the lawyers.
Well, I can
Anna?
jump in on that one. I can tell you, at least from our experience, it is across the board. So we have millennials, lots of millennials who are buying their first house. They're professionals, they have net worth, and they really much moving forward with their partner want to make sure that everyone is on the same page and they're rowing in the same direction in terms of finances. So we have a lot of couples like that. We also have a lot of couples who are going into their second marriages. So when we talk about great divorce and they're getting married a second time, a lot of our clients want to make sure that they're protecting their kids. And a lot of time it's their adult kids. And so they don't want to get into relationships where, should something happen, they take a pretty big hit on their net worth. So we kind of see it across the line on all fronts.
And Eleanor, anything to comment there as far as the type of clients that you're seeing now, all age groups and all situations, and second time around couples getting remarried?
Yeah, absolutely. I think really anybody is in a position to ask whether or not they should consider going into a marriage contract. And I think Anna Marie and I are lucky in that sense that I think our target market is really everybody. Because, from like she said, from young cohabitation and new marriages to families with children to blended families and second marriages or cohabitations, and people just want to, have a bit of stability and comfort in knowing, it allows them to plan more for the future when they know exactly what their financial situation is going to look like.
Right. And Ava, what do you see in your practice with in the financial area of divorce and separation? Your clientele, where do they come from, and what are their situations?
Well, just as the same as Anne Marie and Eleanor, they're coming from all over. I'm going to say I think these modern divorce contracts are gaining popularity for a number of different reasons. Couples today are a bit more pragmatic or a bit more practical. They see that divorce rates are high, so they're going into these relationships recognizing that, whether they're from a family of divorce or seeing colleagues or friends that are going through that, perhaps want to be a bit more prepared. They're getting together at later stages and ages of life, so they've got more wealth and income before getting married. So certainly on the millennial side of things, as Anne-Marie referred to, millennial professionals and so on. And the other thing we're seeing, certainly when it comes to real estate and buying the first home, there has been, and Vivien, you would know more about this than we do, a rise in what we call living inheritances. So parents providing their kids with the money for the down payment for their house. And so the parents may be in the position to say, how can we, or we should be perhaps protecting this in some way, shape, or form, and having that money conversation with their soon to be either married children or ones that are going into probably the biggest purchase that they're going to have and buying the biggest asset that they're going to be owning in their life.
Absolutely. So with real estate, of course, the down payment is the key. And I would think that there are some couples that just can't manage the large enough down payment today with the high cost of homes and condos in the city and in the GTA and beyond. So then you go to, hopefully, if parents can help on both sides.
Or grandparents. Or grandparents.
Or one side can help and the other side cannot help. And if down the road, X amount of dollars, and it's not a few dollars, come into play, and let's say the relationship does not go well, and what do you do with this down payment that on one side is there and the other side didn't give, and then you have to sell the house? That's probably very complicated and acrimonious, I would think.
It's extremely complicated, but the bigger challenge is I think a lot of people don't understand when you get married and the amount you invest in what they call the matrimonial home is treated very differently. So what you walk into the relationship and the marriage with, you may not necessarily have the same credits from a financial perspective leaving. And a lot of people don't know that. So it's really important to have those conversations before you sign on the dotted line.
Absolutely. So I think just we're talking about the modern marriage contract. And is there anything in there that you can tell people watching what is in there? Like how is it different? Well, if they don't do it, they're not protected. But if they come to you and ask for a modern marriage contract, are there some key paragraphs or key issues that will cover them? Eleanor or Anna Marie?
Did you want to answer that, or I can say I think this is the answer is also one of the things that people that also make people wonder why bother entering into a contract in the first place if it's not even going to be upheld in court. I've heard that so many times, and it's such a misnomer, unfortunately, because if you have, and I think this is where the modern comes in, I think in the past, there were a lot of people and couples who have tried to settle things at the kitchen table, basically doing informal agreements, or one agreement is, sort of pushed onto another, and an unwilling spouse or partner to deal with things. And they just sort of draft up something quickly, and they think that, that's all that there is to it. And unfortunately, I think that's where the misnomer is if you, especially with all the challenges and the new stresses that they have in life, like you were saying, purchasing a first home is going to be a very big challenge, and you should have these financial discussions. And I think that the protection is and the parts that have to be looked at is you really need to have full financial disclosure. You really need to be open about your finances. You have to be open about what your wants and your wishes are. And I think it's really important to work with lawyers, because there are so many complex, and it's not a matter for us saying we want to make more money. It's just family law and real estate issues are some of the most complex issues out there. They have crossovers from everything from, real estate, employment law, tax law, estate law. And there's little things like Anna Marie said that people may just not even understand what ownership or what the repercussions are if you don't enter into an agreement. And I think if you go through the lawyers properly, go through the financial discussions and share everything, that's going to be what will make it more effective and helpful. And that's what makes it more modern, is also just the collaborative portion. Like the three of us will work together oftentimes. And the modern way, I think, is do it properly with lawyers, but do it in an amicable way where you can sit down at a table and you sort of work together through everything like a team. It's no more win-win, lose-lose, win-lose. You know, you're always looking for that win-win now. It's not a rarity anymore because we can see what we can play around with, so to speak, from the legal standpoint to make sure it's effective, but still, you know, allows everybody to maintain the relationship, do it economically, efficiently, lovingly.
I think that's the very realistic way today, and to try to work amicably. I know that that is a great word, but it doesn't always happen. So your goal, I believe from what we're hearing, you're collaborative. You're lawyers who prefer the collaborative route, not the litigious route, the going to court, the fighting it out. The spouse, one spouse has one lawyer, one spouse has the other lawyer, and the couples are fighting, and it's all about dollars per hour that they're all spending for litigation and then even going to court. So for both of you, I suppose what's most important, you would rather see the collaboration. And I guess I would like to know, why did you switch, or why did you focus now on the collaborative method to get the results that you're getting for your clients? Anna Marie?
Well, that one was an easy choice, quite frankly, for me, because the long and short of it is, when you go to litigation and you are in the court system, your kids are caught in between the dueling parents. Period, full stop. There's really not much ways around it. And the relationship between the parents becomes destroyed. And it is very difficult, extremely difficult, to get it back on track once you've been through that process and get the parents to learn to co-parent. And that's really ultimately one of the big goals of collaborative divorce, is the fact that we want parents to be able to co-parent going forward, to both go to their kids' weddings, to go to their kids' graduations, to, you know, they don't have to be best friends, but if we can get them to a place where they can at least participate and do these things, it's better for everybody. And so for me, that was step one. And then step two is, if you do the collaborative divorce process properly, you can save a lot in terms of your legal fees and in terms of really how you divide up your family's net worth. And so when you look at both of those elements, it's a process that helps you preserve the family's net worth. And then we look at how it gets shared between the spouses. And then it's a better process for the kids. To me, it makes the most sense. And what we really want to do is focus on restructuring families. So we don't want to destroy these families. We want to restructure them. And that's what we're trying to do.
That is so well said. And Eleanor, I'm sure you would agree with that, because you switched from litigation as well, I believe, and you also look after estates too, but that's another conversation, I think. But you feel the same way, of course, because you work together as a team and with Ava to do the financial disclosures, and you want to keep the collaboration going and the process going that will not be combative. And I guess the question is with kids, that's very, very true. When you have children, that is the key issue. And if families, that you want them to be able to be friends in some way later in life and in this process of separation and divorce. What happens if a family or a couple don't have children? I guess it's less complicated, or not? Eleanor?
Oh, sorry, Eva, I think you were gonna.
I was just going to say, I think in our approach, and I'm going to say our collaborative approach, whether, you know, lawyers like Anna Marie and Eleanor and myself, our goal is to get people to the point where they can see that they're going to be okay. and okay from I'm going to say a family perspective, excuse me, but okay also from a financial perspective. So rather than looking at what's fair, because that's difficult to do, fair for one person, not fair for another person, what they're entitled to, and that's where they start fighting and perhaps going to court needlessly, or the back and forth goes on. Really, in the collaborative setting, all of us professionals are working together to get them to a place that I describe as balance. Can they see balance over time? Balance in the family, so whether that means in the kinds of relationship they have with their kids, the lifestyle they're gonna have for their families and their kids, and that's what we collectively as a team do for the families and the couples that we work with, and it just makes sense. Bottom line.
I mean, there are some couples that are just unable to work together or unwilling. So, a lot of times having a full team of professionals can help in that area. I have to say I've come to the same conclusion as Anna Marie with regards to working collaboratively, but on the flip side, I actually do still litigate a little bit. I'm not able to fully get out of it. And that's one of the biggest things that really pushes me towards the collaborative, because I still see the duality, and I can tell you firsthand, none of the clients that I represent in court ever get good outcomes compared to what can be done through a collaborative process. It always takes longer, it's much more painful, and the biggest difference more than anything is you will not always be heard in court. The formalities, the delays, the requirements that the government has imposed on us simply disallows a judge to take into account everything that a person feels and wants to express during a separation, whether it's with children or whether it's more complex financial issues from couples without, children. It doesn't work. It breaks my heart to see it, and I still have to do it sometimes. I mean, I don't have to, I choose to do that, but it just reinforces how the collaborative process works that much better.
No.
Yeah, and we often try. We will try. At least I do. I will try with most of my clients to get everything out of court and then onto a settlement track, so that we can push and work more together.
Thank you. I think we're slowly heading to the end, but before we do, two things. If anybody who's watching has any questions, please leave them in the chat, and they'll be addressed at the end. And I do have one last question that I wanted to throw at you, all of you. How do you deal with the emotions? Because law, we know, is somewhat devoid of emotion. And you're dealing with emotions because people are going through terrible stuff, or not great stuff, not love, not the rosy stuff. So how do you deal with the emotions?
Well, I can tell you first and foremost, the judge does not have interest in the emotions. They work in facts and evidence. So right away, if you choose a litigation process, your emotions, your thought processes, your feelings, which matter, and it matters a lot when you're dealing with these kinds of issues, they will not be heard. So that is sort of step one, is to manage your expectations. If you're going into the court system, know that your feelings are not really going to be considered. However, again, why collaborative works so well is because we have the opportunity to have those conversations, and you have the opportunity in a group setting or one-on-one with your former spouse to really have those conversations, clear the air, get things off your chest. And you'd be surprised how well a very difficult conversation about some things that went on in the relationship can really go a long way in terms of resolving financial issues, resolving legal issues, resolving other issues, because sometimes it's not really about the money, but about the feelings of the money. But Eva would know more about that.
So each of you jump in now. The last question. Who's going next, Eva or Eleanor? The emotions. How do you deal with that one?
I'll go in, and to be able to say that I think one of the emotions that people certainly feel is that they're alone in this, and that they're having to face this by themselves. And I think in the way that we work together, what we bring to the table is to be able to tell them that they're not alone, that they've got a supportive team working with them, and that we're hearing the other side as well. And sometimes in all of these discussions, it's just a matter of somebody acknowledging an emotion from the other side and saying, yes, I finally needed to be acknowledged on A, B, or C. And so that sense of team and being able to be heard and listened to, I think, is really important. I think that's a big element of what we bring to the table when we work together in a collaborative way.
Yeah, I think one of the extra special parts is just the way we have financial specialists like Ava to work with. We also have family specialists that are trained in the collaborative process, and they can help deal with any of the emotional turmoil or mistrust or communication issues. I think communication is really the word it comes down to, which is you're learning how to communicate in a new relationship. I'm learning how to communicate with a former spouse now, no longer someone who I'm in a loving relationship with, but I need to communicate with for whatever reason. You're learning to do that, and you're learning to do it in a safe environment in ways that are going to be able to help the whole family move forward. And that's just something you don't get in a different process.
Absolutely. And there's new areas in divorce coaching. Right? That's for what you're saying, Eleanor, going for the emotional issues that couples carry. There are places to go. That's not where you go to your lawyer or Ava who does the financials, but there is support out there as a further team part of your team.
Yeah, so we can have additional team members or people that we work with on the side. And that's sort of a unique idea of bringing a more holistic view to the law in the family world, rather than everything being so cut and dry and really not taking anything personal in account.
But at the same time, I'll just add to that, even though we work in our own specialties, whether it's finance or the law, there is that crossover. We still come back ultimately to the emotions, to the human beings that we're working with. And as individuals ourselves, we're empathetic. We're trained to be empathetic. We're empathetic as individuals, and all of us bring that layer of empathy and understanding along with our own professional viewpoints to the process. And it's that sharing, I think, that's really exciting for us as professionals and what we enjoy in that, but we see what value that brings in sort of a holistic way to a family and to a couple.
I'm just curious, how long does the whole process take? If a marriage breaks down and they need to do what they have to do with a modern marriage contract, I'm just curious, is it like quickly done if they want it quickly done, or does it take months of meetings? And how complex, I was just thinking before, like how long does one sort of get involved in this process?
I'm going to give you the favorite lawyer answer, which is we don't know. It actually is faster, but it's a faster process than litigation. Technically, you could make it as fast as you wanted to. We work based on our clients' timelines, depending on how available everybody is, and that's scheduling and emotionally available to deal with these issues and gathering all the information and getting our instructions. We can move this fast, but if you don't give us the information, then we're at a standstill. So we're there to help push things along, but it's really based on everybody's special circumstances. But I would say maybe on average, anywhere from like 4 to 8 months. I'm not sure that's a really hard call. Like you have some that are faster or a lot longer. Or maybe somewhere there about 6, 7 months.
Sounds great. So
around
now
6 months.
That's okay. So at this point, it's very important, I think, if when people watch this, that they could contact each of you if they have any questions and they want to contact you. So I'm going to go one by one to ask each of you, and I'm looking at Anna Marie first, to just give your website and some of your main social media handles for people to reach you.
Sure. My website is www.mlawgroup.ca, and of course on LinkedIn under my name, Anna Marie Musson. Also Musson Law on LinkedIn as well. Our Twitter handle is Musson Law as well.
Thank you. Ava?
My website is pretty easy to remember because it's evasachs.com. On LinkedIn, it's the same thing. And on Facebook, it's Eva Sachs Div Fin Consulting. And on Instagram, it's eva.sachs. I'm easy to find.
Wonderful. Eleanor?
You can reach me on my website at shinehoftlaw.com, or you can feel free always we still use phone like old-fashioned people, so you can reach us at 647-350-3922. And my handle on LinkedIn also, you can just look me up under Eleanor Shinehoft, and I'll be there too.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And before we leave, I just want everyone to know that the next show is in 2 weeks. We have this half-hour get-together where we discuss culture, the law, real estate, lifestyle, home decor, technology, lots of topics that are just out there. And the next show, though, is about seniors and helping seniors live their best life. And it will be on Wednesday, 2 weeks from now. It's always at 12 noon, every second Wednesday of the month, that second Wednesday and then the fourth Wednesday. And look forward to having you join in and learn more about seniors and their futures, living and lifestyles that they choose. So today I want to thank everybody, thank my guests, Eleanor, Eva, and Anna Marie. I think we learned a lot about their areas of expertise. And I just want to thank everybody and wish everyone a great day. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.